What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Phil Sarpon. If it's your first time here, welcome. This channel is dedicated to all things psychology, wellness, as well as graduate school. I'm a clinical psychology doctoral student, and I basically take all your guys' questions about grad school, do videos about them, and try and answer those questions as best as I can. So the question that we have for today is that someone asked me what interview questions that I got specifically from the admissions school for all the schools that I applied to in clinical psychology. And so this is actually a really good question, because if you have multiple interviews for clinical psychology and you're going from school to school, program to program, you probably are going to find some consistency and a pattern of similar questions that the admissions board is asking some of their prospective students. So I'm going to give you guys basically some questions that I think will really help you guys to prepare in terms of what questions to prepare for and how to answer those questions and how to give good responses when you go into your interviews. All right, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and get this video started. I will start with the first question. One of the most common questions that they're going to ask you in your interview is, tell me about yourself. Now, this is a very common question, not just in the clinical psychology interview realm, but really in general, if you're going to apply for a job or anything like that. And so honestly, this is just sort of a starter question, just so that they can get a feel of who you are and what exactly you're going to talk about. Now, here's the thing. This is a very general question, so it's kind of hard to answer this question in a specific way. One of the things that I encourage people is that when you get this question, you want to keep in mind how long you're talking for. Because honestly, some people will get this question and they'll start going off for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like, you want to keep in mind that these are short responses, right? So you want to keep your answer fairly short. You want to be as direct as you can with the question and allow whoever's interviewing you to kind of really lead the conversation. All right, so if they ask you the question of tell me about yourself, here's the thing. You can just list off 2 or 3 things about who you are, whether you are currently a graduate student in a master's program or a college student. You can tell them where you're from. You can tell them basically maybe your ethnicity or your cultural background. You can tell them maybe a little bit of why you're interested in psychology. Like, this is really just a starter question for them, because they know that you're probably really nervous. And so they're really just asking a general question just so that you can kind of get a little bit into momentum and a little bit of some rhythm as you answer some of the questions. So don't be nervous at all. Take your time, articulate your sentences, give them eye contact, smile as much as you can. It's gonna be just fine. All right, so this leads into question number 2, which a nice transition after tell me about yourself. The next question could be, why do you want to be a psychologist? Now, you may have already highlighted this in your first response, but now they want a little bit more of a detailed answer. Okay, so tell me more about why you want to become a psychologist. In my opinion, this is where you kind of start talking about your passions. You start talking about maybe your research experience or your clinical experience. Perhaps you shadowed a psychologist, perhaps a family member of yours is a psychologist. Whatever you did, whether it was in a clinical mental health field, whatever you did in terms of getting that exposure to psychology, you can talk about that. You can talk about, hey, this is what got me interested in psychology, and this is why I think I would be great for the field. Again, keep it short, keep it simple, smile, answer the direct question as best as you can, and let them continue to lead the conversation forward. Now, another really common question that they probably will ask their prospective students is, what draws you to our program? They know that they are probably not the only school that you are applying to, which means that you should have a really good response for this. And hopefully you've already done your research and your homework on what the program you are applying to. So you should know about their research labs. You should know about their mission statement. You should know about who they are and what they represent and what they're passionate about. You should know if they are passionate about underrepresented communities or if they're passionate about neuropsychology or some other form of specialty. I mean, if they have sort of a subspecialty within their program, for example, if they have a sports psychology track and you are interested in sports psychology, well, that is a perfect answer to the question, because you can say, well, I researched a bunch of sports psychology programs and it looked like you guys had one of the best programs recommended to me, and that is the main reason why I applied to your program. So you should definitely have a fairly good answer to their question, whether it's a research lab or a specific professor or faculty member that you want to work with. I mean, that's an even better answer, because that's when they know that you're not only interested in their program, but you're also interested in their research or in the research lab that they have set up for their students. All right, so already off the bat, you should know exactly why you want to go to this school, why you're applying to their program, and give them that straightforward answer. Another question they may ask is, where do you see yourself after the program? Now, a lot of people will not even be thinking about the long term. They'll only be thinking about short term of just getting into psychology school, which is good, but you should have a long-term plan of what exactly you want to do with your psychology degree. This is a very common question that they ask their prospective students, and you should have a really good answer. You should already know, this is what I want to do with the field. I want to work in private practice. I want to work in a counseling program. I want to work in the military. I want to work in some type of specialty, neuropsychology, general clinical psychology. I want to work with this population, or I want to work in this environment. You should know exactly, sort of at least have an idea of where you want to work and what population that you want to work with. If anything, try and answer those two questions when they ask you where you see yourself after the program. All right, another question they may ask is, what do you do for fun? Now, this is sort of a light-hearted question. Again, they're going to be reading the room, right? They're going to be looking at your mannerisms and if you're okay and if you're nervous or if you're a little jittery or whatever is going on with you. And if they see that you're nervous, maybe they will just ask a general fun question of, hey, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun? This is also a very common question that was asked to me for my interviews. And again, don't feel like you have to find the perfect answer. Honestly, just be as straightforward and as honest as you can. If you like to read, if you like to run, if you like to hang out with your family, if you like to study a lot, if you like to go out for walks, like, just talk about, yeah, what do you like to do? They want to make sure that you're not a robot and that you actually do know how to have fun and that you do have some self-care activities that you already consistently do, because they know that once you get into graduate school, it's going to be really important for you to continue those things that you do for fun, especially as the program gets harder and especially as life becomes more difficult with all of the things that are in the program. Another question they may ask, now there may be some schools that will try and throw you off with some difficult questions. And there are some schools that are very, very straightforward. And I've gotten this question asked to me before. And the question is, if we offered you an acceptance, would you accept our offer? Now, that is a very direct question. They're basically asking you, okay, after this interview, we give you an offer, are you going to accept the offer? Now, there are some students that, this is really just a school that they're interviewing at. They have no intention of going to that school. They already are planning on accepting a different offer from another school, and they're just doing this just in case they don't get accepted to that other school. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you should just lie in this situation. Tell them what they want to hear. Tell them if they offer you some type of offer that you should accept right away, that you should tell them, yes, I will definitely accept an offer if you guys give it. Honestly, you're gonna have some mixed feelings with this one, because in my opinion, I do think that you should be honest. And you can be honest in a very straightforward way without maybe necessarily answering the question. I mean, you can kind of get a little bit political if you need to, and you can just talk about it and say, hey, like, this is definitely a school that I want to go. It's a program that I feel like is gonna be a great fit for me. There are other schools that I applied to, but honestly, I'm really passionate about my potential here at this program. Now, what I did just there is that I answered the question. I told them that, yes, honestly, if you guys gave me an offer, I would definitely be interested in, but there are other options out there for me. And I think, honestly, if you can be straightforward and honest in that situation, I think they're gonna respect your answer. And I don't think they're gonna push the question too far. They just want to kind of get you a little bit on your toes. Okay, here's another question that they might ask you to kind of trip you up. So here's the thing. They have seen your whole application, they've seen your personal statement, they've seen your GRE, they've seen your letters of recommendation. They're gonna look for any holes in your application. And one of the things that when they interview you, they probably will bring up any type of holes or any type of red flags that they see in your application. So if you had a low GPA in college, they're probably gonna ask you about that. If you had a low GRE, they probably will ask you about that. If you have low research experience, they probably will ask you about that. And so it's important for you to be ready with a response. Again, keep it straightforward, keep it simple, and be honest. You know, if it's about GPA, say, hey, yeah, this was the situation that happened in college. This is how I learned from it. You know, if it's the GRE, hey, yes, this is the situation that happened. I was a little stressed out. I wasn't really fully prepared. This is what I learned, right? I think if any question kind of puts you on your toes a little bit, you can just be honest about it and say, hey, this is how it developed me. This is what I learned from that experience. This is what I want. This is the knowledge that I want to take with me if I go into graduate school. I think really they're just trying to see the transformation of all your experiences and all your, perhaps your disappointments, and how you've been able to lift yourself back up. Now, if there was something in your application that you just dropped the ball, like for example, let's just say you didn't get as much research experience as you should have gotten, there's no reason to try and make up some elaborate, crazy story of why that happened. I mean, you can honestly just tell them that you dropped the ball. And if you drop the ball in some situation, you can always say how you're ready to learn from that situation. If it's research, that you are already looking at the faculty members in their program and the research that they do, and you've already seen some of their publications, and you're already looking forward to working with those professors. All right, so that's a simple way to kind of turn the story back on them and let them know that, hey, this may have happened, but this is how I intend to use this situation for my benefit in the future. And this is how it's also going to contribute to the program and to the field and to my experience as a person and as a student. Another question they may ask is, what is your greatest accomplishment? Now, this is, in my opinion, this is sort of a trap question. And the reason that I say that is, again, this could make people just start wanting to talk about themselves. And they start talking and they start talking and they start talking. And it's really important to kind of have this air of humility involved when you're answering some of these questions, especially when they're questions about your achievements. I mean, you do want to talk about your achievements. You do want to talk about your accomplishments. You've worked very hard to get to where you are today, to get to your interview. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't talk about yourself, but I think you have to talk about yourself in a way that is humble and that is sort of telling that person that you are ready for more, that you know that you can strive for more. The best way to do this is just to talk about your passions, talk about why you do what you do, right? And so if you had amazing accomplishments for your GPA, or you had a really great GRE score, or let's say you got this award in college and you're so proud of that accomplishment, maybe try and connect it to what you're going to do in the psychology field, or even what you're going to do in graduate school, right? Maybe connect that to what you want to do and what you want to research in your research labs, or the populations that you want to work with. Or if you got some lifetime achievement award or something like that, talk about how you want to take that achievement and use it to continue your passion for helping people and contributing to underserved societies, or your family, or your future patients or clients, or the mental health in some way. Like, you can just connect your passions to something that is also going to help you to give to other people. All right, another question they may ask is that they may try and figure out what exactly, like how good of a team member you are. Now, jobs will do this too, where if you are in sort of a team environment type of field, they want to make sure that you're good with people, that you're a good communicator, that you are a learner, that you can collaborate with the team members. And you might think that, psychology seems, very independent, but there is a lot of group work in psychology school. There's projects, there's presentations. You're gonna be having to work with people on several things. So it's important to stay organized. It's important to understand how to communicate to other people and to work together in order to kind of have an overall end goal. All right, so they may ask you, what was a situation in your past where a situation happened with a team member? You were working in a team and something happened and you had to have a difficult situation or a difficult conversation with someone on your team. Or maybe you saw something in the team environment that was not good, that was not healthy. Basically, how did you deal with that? This is a great question that a lot of schools may ask because they want to get a sense of sort of your emotional IQ, your intellectual IQ, your social IQ in terms of reading the room, reading the situations, and figuring out some things to do. So I'll give you guys an example of a question that was asked to me basically about a past situation where I was on a team and I had to have a difficult conversation with another one of my team members. And I talked about how basically on the team, I saw someone that was sort of ahead of me on the team and they were talking down on someone and they were kind of yelling at that person, and it just was not a healthy situation. And I actually pulled that person aside individually and just kind of talked to them about what I saw. And it was actually a great conversation where I got to see a little bit of that person's perspective and their frustration, and they actually apologized for the way that they acted, right? So I gave them an example of a situation where it was tense, it was uncomfortable, but I didn't shy away from the situation. I didn't turn a blind eye on something that I knew that I should have engaged in. And that's really the purpose of asking that question, is that they maybe want to see a little bit of how you think ethically about certain situations and how intentional you are about having those difficult conversations in a work environment. And then finally, they might ask you, why are you a good fit for the program? This is where you kind of just get to wrap it all up into a bow. Just tell them how excited you are about the program, whether it's working with a faculty member, whether it's their curriculum, whether it's the research, whether it's the opportunities to engage in outside settings in the therapy sites or in the practicum sites. You might even tell them, hey, like I've heard that you guys get all your students internships, that you guys are really good at preparing students for their field, that you guys do a really great job of helping students to be great therapists or to do great psychological assessments. Or, this is your opportunity to kind of praise the school and kind of praise the program a little bit and tell them like, yeah, I picked this school for a reason because I want to be here. I am glad to be here. I'm appreciative of being here. At the end of the interview, don't forget to, shake their hand or tell them thank you. Tell them that you are so appreciative of their time and the opportunity. Continue to smile and have fun with it, guys. Honestly, the interview process was tricky. It was definitely draining, energy draining in so many different ways, mentally, emotionally, physically. But at the end of it, it was a lot of fun. I actually made some good connections with some of the other people that were there for the interview, had some great conversations with the faculty members, got to see the school. It was fun in a way, in a weird, stressful way, but it was good. And so if you can just treat it from that positive outlook, I'm sure you guys will definitely conquer it. You'll do an amazing job and you'll be able to get right through. If you guys have any other questions, definitely put it down in the comments section below. If you have not already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications anytime I post a video, and I will see you guys in the next video.